Hey guys, I am Joe.
I'm DJ.
And we are here with the Retro Ranger wrap-up, where we're going to take you throughout the history of Power Rangers. We're going to start it off right at the beginning. Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, is it Unseen? No.
The lost episode.
The lost episode of the pilot, Day of the Dumpster. Yep. There's a lot of glaring differences here, but before we get into all that, let's get into some news.
Sure. So we're coming down from the high of Dino Supercharge and Dino Charge, still alive in our hearts and apparently still alive in Japan. We have new pictures of the Kyoryuger suits for, we're not sure what it's for. I'm not sure if it's like a new Tyson crossover. I'm not sure if it's Zoltar. Well, basically they do a whole Toei Tokusatsu mashup with like all the properties, like the Kamen Riders, the different Super Sentai series, and just put them all together.
Are these like their own separate movies?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So they do like all types of just mashup movies. And so we don't know if it's a Tyson movie. We don't know if it's a Zoltar crossover. Rumor even has it might be Akiba Ranger related. So Akiba Ranger typically takes the original Sentai suits and change it up a little bit.
It's a parody.
Pretty much. So it's more comedy, more humorous based, and it's really entertaining. So for those who haven't seen it, definitely tune in. The Kyoryuger suits have a lot of whites. So it's the suits you know and love, but white accents and white in the helmet.
What do you feel about them?
They're different. I mean,
I like them.
They're very different. I don't get it. But,
oh, you mean like why it's happening?
Well, sure, but I'm just wondering why the change. Yeah, exactly. I'm not sure why the change is happening. It's definitely different. I don't know if it makes sense to me yet, but it's pretty cool. It's
more to come when that comes out.
Yeah.
Also, Boom Studios issue number 12. We have seen the variant covers now with our own eyeballs. We have Tommy holding Saba, which could be a tell in the story. We also have Zach morphing in somewhat snow and smoke with the Mastodon behind him. There's another one with all of the Rangers together. There's a couple with all the Rangers together.
Yeah, but they're civilian forms, and we also have one
Goldar toy figure.
The figure package.
You hate it.
I'm not a fan of the figure toy on cardboard, whatever. Yeah. So
I can understand that. I'm not a huge fan of the different variant covers. Dave Baker says variant covers kill the industry. I tend to somewhat agree.
Oh, why is that?
Mainly because like
too big of a gimmick?
It's a collector's market. Like. For me, when I buy comic books, I buy them for the story more so than I actually do the collectability of them. And Power Rangers is actually the only comic I buy single issues of. Everything else I'm buying in trades. I'm also buying or omnibus, but Power Rangers is the only thing I'm buying single issues of, which may have been a detriment to me because this is going to follow up with the Pink Ranger comic is actually going to be a collected edition.
Yeah.
And it has a forward by Amy Jo Johnson.
Yeah, there's a whole introduction with Amy Jo Johnson, so I think that's a nice nod and inclusion for the fans.
I agree. Now, it's fun, like I was just saying, I collect the single issues.
Sure.
But this is something I possibly would probably get as a collected edition, because if you go to a con and because we do a lot of Ranger interviews, if I meet Amy Jo Johnson, I can get her to sign that, which would be pretty cool.
Which makes sense.
Yeah.
Not to mention she's doing the introduction, so I'm glad that they reached out. I'm glad she was willing, and I mean I think that's a great nod and give back to collectors, fans, and just enthusiasts alike. So that's pretty awesome.
Yep. And Boom Studios is Power Rangers is the #1 seller for Boom Studios, which is great news too.
Cool.
Anything else that we're overlooking?
We have some of these little guys over here. So we have the so I'm knocking stuff over. But we have the Funko Pops or Pop Funkos.
Funko Pops.
Funko Pops. We have a new wave of Funko Pops. So we have these nice little chibi, little munchkin, big cheek little guys. But we have the next wave of red, white, Mighty Morphin red, Mighty Morphin white, and Mighty Morphin pink. Subtle differences, now they're posed. So if you're a Funko Pop collector, be on the lookout, because once they're gone and once that wave hits and it's gone, it does go up in price. Super hard.
Do you think we'll get any other seasons?
I think if it does well, I mean, they're starting to...
Because they're only expanding out in the same season.
Mighty Morphin is always the go-to.
Yeah.
Again, Boom Studios, Mighty Morphin. Funko Pop, Mighty Morphin. I mean, it's kind of the go-to. I don't know if any other season really had the relevance that Mighty Morphin has. Because right now, again, as opposed to going into the next season, we have different poses of the same season.
Put you on the spot real quick. I always do this to you. Number one, Number one, Funko Pop, if you can see another season, just one season, what would it be?
Funko Pop?
Yeah.
Zeo.
Okay. All right. So Boom Studios, only one season. What would that season be besides Mighty Morphin?
Probably still Zeo.
Okay, cool.
Probably still Zeo.
Across the board. Zeo.
Well, I'm a big fan of Zeo, because to me, Zeo was pretty much Mighty Morphin 2.0.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you saw the transition of powers. You finally see Tommy become a Red Ranger, and the return of Jason as the Gold Ranger. That's one of my favorite things, and not to mention, as opposed to Turbo, the Power Rangers, or a Power Rangers movie, we actually got the lead up as to why Zeo powers exist. We got to see this whole journey. We got to see the Alien Rangers contribute to that and have to kind of take their place for a little bit of time. So Zeo, I love Zeo. I mean, I love Zeo too. I'm a big fan of Zeo.
Yeah. Those are both good, solid choices too. And imagine getting a Gold Ranger of one of these. Those would be pretty cool.
Yeah, I'm a little selfish with that one. I'd definitely pick up a Gold Ranger pop.
Would you pick up a Tray of Triforia Boom Studios comic?
Specifically about Tray of Triforia? Yeah. I mean, I feel like that's the avenue to explore the expanded universe of Power Rangers, and obviously,
I agree.
You know what I mean? So sky's the limit. I think Boom does a great job, and I love the way they flesh out the details that we never thought about, and just reinvigorate it with just new life. So, I think that's pretty much the news.
Yeah. On that note, I don't know if we're gonna roll a clip because it's such an old episode, but let's get to it.
Let's get into the last episode.
Gamma rays and burning gold. Let them fight my bloody patrol. Take that!
Hey, everybody stay together. Zach, those two. Right, these two are mine. Take them out.
This is gonna hurt.
So yeah, that was Day of the Dumpster, the lost episode. DJ, what do you think? This is the episode that really starts off everything. Well, not continuity-wise, but Power Rangers of what we come to know and love.
This was the snowball that was this size before it got rolled down the hill that became the big avalanche. So, man, it's a time capsule, dude.
Right?
It's such a time capsule.
What a throwback to the early 90s, man. I was a little kid when this came out.
Sure. I mean, even the approach, I mean, you could feel the 90s coming out of the screen when you watch this episode. Obviously, we have a cast difference. We have Aubrey Dubois playing Trini as opposed to Tui, so that's a big difference. We have the setting of a bowling alley.
Yep.
We have Zoltar as opposed to Zordon. And we have Alpha 5 with Mohawk.
And we
Life is good.
We also have no Jason Narvi as Skull.
Right.
We have no Ernie.
No Ernie.
In the juice bar.
No mention of the juice bar.
Yep. We have a group of bullies instead of just being Bulk and Skull.
Yep.
And we have a more confrontational, real teenagers with attitudes in this version of Power Rangers.
Say what you want. Zach was trying to get down. Zach was, when Zach was around, when he enters the room, he was a pimp. He was just like, hey, what's up, guys? How you doing? Oh, baby. Oh, man, I'm going to call you later. Oh, man. That butt. You know what I mean? All that. But the attitude was definitely there. It definitely feels like a pilot. It's good, though. It's good.
It was. I think the character that I feel stays closest to the original is Billy.
You don't think Zach wasn't Zach?
I think Zach is Zach, but he's a more toned up Zach, and he's obviously more confrontational.
Sure.
I think
more
Billy,
aggressive.
More aggressive. I think Billy's the only one that, to me, stays pretty close. Kimberly too.
I feel like
they stay pretty close to the same.
I feel like Trini had the same vernacular. I feel like she had the same association, but obviously different actress, so different feel completely. I feel like Jason was much more Bruce Lee.
Oh, Jason's way more confrontational in this too.
Yeah, but he was doing like this Tai Chi with the bowling ball before. He wasn't as cool to me. He just wasn't as cool as opposed to when you first meet him in our Mighty Morphin episode 1. He was an instructor. He was all together. He was training Billy. This guy was doing Tai Chi with the bowling ball. Just putting it out there.
Yeah.
So.
And it's dangerous, actually. I don't know if you've ever been to a bowling alley and somebody's lost control of a bowling ball and it flies backwards.
I have definitely been at the receiving end of bowling balls being
Have you really?
Yeah, unfortunately. I don't know what it is, but I mean, I'm not gonna.
You really get nervous? Now it must. That's
it doesn't make me nervous. But anytime I bowl with this one person,
it's only one person.
Oh well, I'm sure there's others out there, but one girl specifically, it was like get down. You know what I mean? It was like duck and cover.
I have a friend that's like that too.
It was like legit coming in hot.
I have a friend that's like that too, and he bowls weird because he does this weird head movement when he bowls.
Wait,
so
what?
He bowls, but he does this weird thing with his head. It's hilarious. But sometimes you don't know if he's gonna throw the ball back because it's just weird.
Oh, matter of fact, didn't Kimberly do that?
Yes, that's why I brought it up.
Oh, okay. That's why I'm like, wait, what? Yeah.
And then she complains about breaking a nail, and it smashes chili all over. The guy doesn't have a name, and I don't know if the fans have named him at all.
Yeah, I mean, we mentioned that Skull wasn't there, but Bulk is definitely there.
But he's a lot different. Bulk is definitely more of a henchman than he was kind of like the loudmouth leader.
Yeah. He was definitely less bumbling as well. He was more like, hey, relax, or you're gonna get it. That type of attitude, as opposed to, hey, Skull, we need to teach them a lesson. And even the bullies themselves, they definitely seem like more realistic bullies as opposed to,
Well,
the self-inflicting.
the one thing that wouldn't fly in this day and age, I'm sure there's a ton, but the one thing that I can understand not flying in this day and age, and I know a lot of people back in the day used to get like very parents, and I remember, because you're around my age, so like in the news, it would always be a thing about Power Rangers is too violent. Power Rangers is too violent.
Yeah.
But now we get all this other stuff, and now Power Rangers is definitely not a huge violent thing. But the one thing that I think would be called out in this day and age is that how aggressive the bullies are with the girls and like the sexual advances of like trying to force a kiss and stuff like that. Because that's a big like thing nowadays, obviously, and it should be.
Actually, now that you bring that up, that was a lot more prominent in '90s teen type of shows. I mean, we had what was it, Sweet Valley High. We had Saved by the Bell, 90210. I mean, that whole just that chemistry and having like the cool kids with the girl interest and the bullies. That was a very prominent thing during our days, which is revealing our ages a little bit. But no, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. There was a lot of things that Power Rangers was criticized for, and arguably can be still, but it's now common.
Yeah.
Now it's now common. I mean, violence is like everywhere. Where I think we're more sensitive, but we're less sensitive.
But do you think that, all right, so talking about this pilot, because we're really going to get into it. Now, do you think that was a studio note of why they needed to change things? Because if you think about the human and human interacting fighting, it was a lot more violent. And do you think that Fox said, you know what, we can't necessarily have the Power Rangers be this aggressive.
Sure.
We need them to like talk their problems out and kind of a deal?
Kind of make it more self-defense as opposed to escalate.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
One thing that we kind of get in the tropes of Power Rangers is that, Bulk and Skull especially, it's always them outsmarting Bulk and Skull to make them look stupid. More so than like trying to fight them.
Exactly. Work smarter as opposed to harder, and defense versus offense for sure. And you could actually see as we get on to with the other episodes, you can actually see the adjustments as far as the notes, as far as when Power Rangers was first on, when it hits its like main success versus, and then you see less and less unmorphed fights and reasons for that. So you can definitely see where feedback does play a factor in the TV series for sure.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you on that. Do you think going into this that when they went to the command center, well, I mean, if we're going step by step, the earthquake still happens. Yep. A lot of the same things still kind of happen. Yep. Except the fight is a little bit more violent. There's a blonde-haired female that Kimberly like kind of squares off with.
Yeah.
But an earthquake still happens because Rita escapes, and they get teleported to the command center. And Zordon says, I want to bring the nastiest, most this, and then Alpha's like, oh, don't tell me, it's teenagers with attitudes. But this is a real group of teenagers with attitudes. They do. Yeah. Do you think it's closer to the movie now that we're upon the 2017 Power Rangers movie?
Oh yeah, I mean, as far as them being delinquents or at least having that edge, absolutely. But our normal cast of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, our original cast of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, are definitely watered down. They were very cookie cutter. They're very cookie cutter. I mean, with the exception of maybe Zach, and that's because he was very overtly interested in females. You know what I mean? Jason was a stand-up guy. Billy was a scholar. Like Trini was almost the all-around girl, like very well-rounded girl. Kimberly was the popular cheerleader. You know what I mean? Tommy was probably like the guy with the attitude, but even then he was kind of like, "Hey, I'm Tommy. I have a choker."
Yeah, I don't necessarily think it was an attitude as much as it was like he was under like the villain control, because even when he became a part of the team, and we'll get there in episode 16, but once he became a part of the team, it was more so.
So impressed, by the way.
Yeah, dude, Green with the Evil 1, episode 16. But we'll get there and we'll talk about him because he acclimates to the team super quick. But let's talk about that. So we get to the command center, and you brought up a great point. What did Zordon look like?
He looked like a lava lamp.
He did. It looked
like
a
very wavy. He was very wavy, and if we had the Zordon whose mouth never synced with the words, we just had this jellyfish that kind of looked like a head.
And the command center definitely had more of an aesthetic of bright colored neon lights. Alpha had a different look. He had a mohawk.
Yeah.
He had a big clunky like chest piece or upper body.
He was much more of a Tin Man.
He was very clunky, which is great because the aesthetic we have of Alpha, it's so hard for me to think like, how can I picture anything else?
Sure.
Because when I saw that scene, it almost looked like it was a parody of Power Rangers. It almost looked like it was like, oh, we're making fun of Power Rangers.
But also, to be fair, like the pilot will never have the budget. Well, I shouldn't say never. I mean, something like nowadays pilots do get the budget.
Right.
to get greenlit. But more often than not, back in the day, pilots, you kind of get like a little bit of an allowance, and then hey, pitch us.
Yes.
Just pitch us, impress us. So we still get the spill, we still get the whole hey, you're gonna save the planet, yada yada yada. Now I will say this: seeing Aubrey there always takes me out of it. It always takes me out of it. Not in a negative way, because Aubrey's still part of the fandom. She's still part of the legacy, definitely. But seeing her with the other four, it always like, where's Tui? Like, where's Tui? I don't know. I mean, obviously it's just a pilot episode, and Aubrey did her thing, but she's a far departure from who got recasted. You know what I mean? Aubrey at the time had very short hair. Trini had very long, luscious hair. You know what I mean? Trini or Tui had a certain delicateness to her, like very, very sensual, kind of maybe not sensual. That's the wrong word, but just very delicate.
I think it was more of a. She was very sweet. Like, she was very sweet, but also was very silently powerful.
There you go. Silent beauty.
Right.
Like a very mysterious woman kind of.
Whereas I feel like Aubrey is a very
tomboy,
and very in your face about it. You know what I mean? Much
more aggressive, much more assertive. Not to say that Tui wasn't, but just much more like type A, confrontational for sure.
Yep.
So so we still got the recruit of teenagers with attitude.
Yeah, and the thing is, they're very hesitant. It's almost like they don't want to do it at all.
Which is the same as.
Yeah. But the one glaring difference is, so they leave the command center and they get attacked by the putties, and they have to fight these putties. But in this version, when they all, remember that scene where they all like kind of like get thrown at each other and they're on the ground.
Right.
This version is a little different because they all yell for help.
Yeah.
So they're not like the courageous kids that we knew about, like in the pilot we actually ended up getting. That carried on for the series.
Yeah.
Then I don't remember, but then one of them says, well, why don't we morph? They use their transmorphers, which is a little bit of a departure too.
Sure.
They say they throw them to the sky, and they use a different kind of morph, which is kind of weird too.
Yeah, they use the single arm as opposed to our traditional. You know what I mean? They kind of do this whole little. That's it. Just raise it to the sky. They literally raise the morpher to the sky. Still yell out their designated dinosaurs or creatures, and that's their morph style. So it's Mastodon, Saber-tooth tiger, and etc.
Oh, it's not even in the same order too.
Yeah, no, completely
different order as well. And
with less graphics.
It was just taken from where they shot that.
Sure.
So that's a glaring difference. Also, Finster has a different voice. It's not the same. It's not. I believe Finster was voiced by Robert Axelrod.
Oh, really?
Well, I mean, in the incarnation that that we know.
Oh, interesting.
He was voiced by Robert Axelrod. This is a different voice. It could have been Robert Axelrod, but he's doing something different here. King Sphinx is called Fly Guy.
Jeez,
it's either King Sphinx or Goldar. One of the two is called Fly Guy.
Either way, great change.
Great change. And they do Zord battle for the first time, but they only do it in the tank mode, in the battle mode. They don't do it in the Megazord mode.
Right.
One of the biggest problems I saw with this was a continuity error, actually, where Fly Guy or Goldar is fighting them down on the level of being
on Earth,
being on Earth. And then Rita, for the first time, makes her monster grow, but Goldar's standing right next to her as she's going to make both of them grow, which I thought was like, oh, they missed that in editing.
For sure.
But the Zord fight is fairly short. They don't necessarily. I don't feel like they have the same quippy lines as they did in the first episode that we're going to end up reviewing next week, where they get into their Zords like, this is more phenomenal. Like, how do I use this? Like,
this is Trini, all systems go.
Yeah, it's not. It's very different the way that they are in their Zords. But it is. It's almost like watching the same show, because there's a lot of the lines that are the same, but there's definitely a lot of things that are very different.
It feels like a pilot. I mean, it is what it is. It's definitely a sizzle reel. It's a pitch. It's to get it out there without it being smooth or sanded and polished and where it needs to be. You know what I mean? You gotta give a lot of credit to whoever greenlit it, because they saw a potential that I don't think a lot of people would have at the time.
No,
I mean, it's a very
it's a risky move.
It's a very big pitch. It's a very big pitch where you're just like, oh yeah, we have color coordinated spandex, and we're gonna give teenagers with attitudes these powers, and there's a big floaty head, and that's their idea. Like, that's our original idea as far as the big floaty head. Everything else is the Japan version, and we're gonna put them in big robots that are as tall as skyscrapers, and blah 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 blah. And there's a robot, and there's like fly guys, and
But it's crazy to me though, because like the day of the dumpster that we actually got though, how that it made it, watching this pilot and watching that pilot, which again we're going to talk about next week. Those are two very glaring differences. And it's crazy that one, you can absolutely see the charm of the beginning sparks everything.
Sure.
Whereas this one, if this was the actual pilot, imagine how many different things would have happened.
Oh man, just.
I don't even know. I'm not saying it was a bad pilot, but you're right. It was a sizzle. And I think that if we would have continued with that, I'm not sure Power Rangers would have went on as long as it did.
What do you mean went on with that? As far as how their version of it?
Yeah, I mean,
sure.
The logistics of shooting at a bowling alley would have been an issue.
Yeah.
Because I feel like Ernie's Juice Bar is more so a set than it actually was a location. I mean, I'm sure it was a location.
Right. But
it's easy to mimic if you wanted to build a set.
But it housed a hangout. And you know, I mean, when they were coming up with their concept, I'm sure they're just like, hey, where's a place all kids like to go? Bowling alley. I thought it was really, and you gotta admit, it's really creative to come up with Ernie's Juice Bar, where they can hang out, where they can practice martial arts, where they can work out, where they host every tournament known to man, by the way. So Ernie's Juice Bar for the longest time did everything. It was basically like our sports arena. So
was Ernie's Juice Bar like, if you had to put it in a place, do you think it was right next to the high school, like walking distance? Obviously.
I mean, it had to be, right?
It had to be. That's what I figured.
I mean, they have the Rad Bug, but I mean, these were
the Rad Bug.
They did. Come on, even the name Rad Bug. Thank you.
Oh my God! Talking about '90s lingo, we're not finishing. We're almost done with the episode, but like. They finally succeed. They're successful. And Zach even says, "Hey, Zoltar, we got really lucky this time." And he's like, "Luck had nothing to do with it. This is pretty much what you're meant to be."
Right.
And they all do their same exact thing that they do in the pilot that got greenlit. But at the end, Kimberly uses the word "psych." Like,
psych!
Since we were psych.
Not.
Oh man,
jeez.
I love the cheesiness of the '90s. It's so crazy because like they made a show that definitely, you're right, lives in a time capsule.
No sense. Which made no sense.
It's a time capsule show. That's insane to me that happened. But, I mean, this is what led into Mighty Morphin Power Rangers to becoming the phenomenon that it was.
Yeah.
What were anything else that you wanted to add to this?
Not just that, I gotta be thankful. I mean, I gotta be thankful that this pilot was made, because it is what greenlit it. You know what I mean? It took this attempt to sell something that to me is kind of unsellable.
Right.
So I
seriously,
it's great to see the beginning stages. It's great to see the foundation and the groundworks up as far as the template, and essentially that's what it is. It is the template as far as what they wanted to do with it. And now we have Power Rangers 20 plus years later. We have the Lionsgate movie that's about to come out. I know we're gonna check it out, and it's never been a better time to be a Power Ranger fan.
I agree. So that's why I'm happy we're doing these Retro Ranger wrap-ups. And we'd love to hear what you guys thought about this original episode.
Oh, we got to turn it back on you, though. Come on, man. Like, what are your thoughts about this episode?
Yeah, you know, it's crazy, man, because all right, so, because I watched this on YouTube, actually, the special.
Oh, I see.
And I didn't realize, the intro for that is pretty cool. And they bring back Walter Jones and Austin St. John. Do you remember this that episode, the lost episode? When
actually, I remember when they were actually promoting it, because they were no longer on the show.
Yeah, so
they were actually not on the show. So when I saw that,
at this point,
wait, what?
They were in Power Rangers in Space.
Right.
And the cool thing about the intro was they had all the Rangers, like it'd be all the Red Rangers, it'd be Jason. You know, it would be all these Rangers, and it's like, wow, you have Jason, Tommy, and Andros in the same thing, and it's awesome. and Selwyn too.
Yeah,
they all four of them were in the same thing, and it's kind of like, oh, actually, Selwyn was in the Blue Ranger one, but. I thought that was really cool, and it was kind of like a throwback, being like, oh wow, like this is, and it's so funny because even at that point they said Power Rangers has been on the air for 5 years, and thinking
it was a
back,
big deal. Yeah,
it was a big deal, and now it's like, wow, Power Rangers has been on the air for almost 25 years.
Plus
so
years,
that whole special that I just watched was 20 years ago.
Oh, jeez.
Thinking about that, that's mind blowing to me.
And I actually do miss the love and care that they used to give, like these type of TV specials. You were able to commission these actors to come back and be like, hey, check this out, look at us now, blah 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 blah. I miss Fox Kids. That's what I'm saying.
Yes.
Like, I do miss Fox Kids, and I remember when Turbo happened, and you were able to get the new, like the B Squad, not B Squad, but the passing of the torch with TJ, and they had their own little promos for Power Rangers Turbo. Like, Fox Kids shot their own stuff, so I miss that love. You know what I mean? A
funny thing I did miss, though, or that I failed to mention, was in this early incarnation of Power Rangers, which actually plays out 5 years later, if they're talking about this, is that Zach makes mention of the Ninja Turtles in the pilot. He says,
What?
"Who do you think we are?" Oh yeah,
Oh.
something about what does he say? He's like, he makes mention of like, yeah, right, and the Ninja Turtles are here too, or something.
Yeah,
he
yeah,
says
yeah,
something
yeah.
like that, which is funny because that season in space, the Power Rangers do team up with the Ninja Turtles, so it does come full circle.
All
It
full
really
circle.
does.
All full circle. Which was the best team up in Power Ranger history, by the way. Of course.
It was up there for sure, 100%. Justice League is happening though.
Justice League is indeed
So-
happening, and dude, I mean, Superman. Like, first of all, DC characters are among the most iconic superhero characters in
right.
comic book form, and just in properties. Period. We're doing a crossover, or Power Rangers is doing a crossover with Justice League.
It's true. It's crazy.
That's kind of dope.
You think about
when
that,
you think
though.
of yeah,
Like, that's insane
That's
to
kind of dope. Superman, the first main superhero that we've
The most iconic.
the most iconic, cape wearing, underwear on the outside, S on your symbol, chest. Superman
It's
is
teaming up with Power Rangers. That's insane to
with
me.
the Red Power Ranger, because
That's
why
crazy.
not?
But I mean, we've come such a long way, and I'm so happy that I got to see this episode with my own eyes, and I'm happy that Saban actually released this lost episode.
Sure.
Because to me, that's pulling the curtain back, saying like, hey, the show that you know and love actually had a whole different beginning to it.
Sure.
And for us, I mean, I don't want to say we're Power Ranger historians, but we know a lot about about the universe.
But we're close.
We're close, and there's so many other people out there that definitely are historians.
Oh, man.
But I think that this is a
One person, our producer JD, right behind the
JD's
camera.
a Power Ranger
He
historian.
is our Ranger Wiki.
But I think it's so cool that we got to see this because I would have never known Aubrey Dubois was the original Yellow Ranger.
Sure.
I would have never have known that they started off at a bowling alley. I appreciate this episode, but I'm happy with the changes that were made. It's
Sure.
definitely one of those things where if you got studio notes, you're like, all right, this needs to change, this needs to change. They did it right. They knew exactly what needed to change to make this work.
And you gotta thank Fox for that too, for even releasing it in the first place, because it's not something that got leaked. This is something they put out
Yeah,
as
that's true,
a
that's
special.
true.
So this is something they packaged to say, hey, by the way, you've never seen this before. And the way they kind of presented it was as a lost episode. Like, I thought it was just gonna be like a special,
Mm-hmm.
as opposed to, oh, this is legit the beginning stages. This is legit what it could have been. So that's dope. Tune in, lost episode, Power Rangers, woo!
All right, give it a rating.
Pilot.
Yeah. I mean, granted, it's the lost episode, so.
What am I rating it as nostalgia? How much did I enjoy it?
How much?
I'm being complicated. I understand that, but it's hard.
I mean, it is very hard. I'm gonna have to give this. Listen, it was definitely. I'm gonna give it a 2.
I'm gonna give it a 2.5.
Yeah, I think I'm around a 2. I liked it for what it was, but it wasn't what I'm used to, so I'm gonna say a 2.
It was what it was. I appreciate it for what it was. Let's not pretend it was the best thing I've ever seen, because it wasn't. But
Solid 2. It's 2.5 too.
but we do have it to thank for our Power Rangers. So there you go.
Let's get to the Morphin list.
All right, guys, it's time for our Morphin list for our lost episode. And since the bowling alley was such a far departure from what we know to be hangouts from Mighty Morphin, our Morphin list for this week is top 5 Ranger hangouts from all the seasons. So
I love this list.
let's do it. Joe, take it over.
All right, we're gonna start with number 5. Number 5 is what I think is one of the cooler parts about Mystic Force. I know DJ's not the hugest fan of this place.
Yeah, I'm kind of whatever. It's fine.
It's fine. I like the Rockporium. I think the Rockporium's a lot of fun. It's a definite departure from all of the other seasons.
Well,
And
remind people what the Rockporium
the Rockporium is the record store that they all worked at. This is where Vita was a DJ. Xander was always trying to sell customers on new CDs. CDs at the time too, by the way. Because
At the time?
we'll never see another Rockporium season if you really think about it, because everybody gets their music digitally now.
We shouldn't is the key word, yeah.
So I guess they used it at the right time. But the Rockporium is at number 5. DJ, what's number 4?
We're going to take it up to Jungle Karma Pizza, which is the pizza place that the Rangers worked at for Jungle Fury, ran by RJ. They had to make a living somehow. They definitely were good at making pizzas. The base was like on the top level of Jungle Karma Pizza, so 2 birds, 1 stone, almost the precursor to Dino Charge.
I would love to start building a set where we could get a pizza box back here somewhere of Jungle Karma Pizza.
That would be dope.
That'd be pretty cool.
That actually would be dope. So taking it to number 3.
Taking it to number 3 is Power Rangers Dino Thunder with the Cyber Cafe. Now,
right.
this at the time, and even still today, cyber cafes are a big deal, especially in Europe. And this is when we first started seeing a lot of them. And it made so much sense because Ethan was a huge gamer, and that's why he would go spend his money. It's almost kind of like the precursors to like the Bar 82s or the barcade.
Sure.
So this is very much on that line, and I think that it was perfect for the time. And it fit Ethan's character perfectly to always be at this. And a lot of the episodes were directly affected in the Dino, in the Cyber Cafe.
No, it definitely had its own personality. It was a very go-to place. It was very prominent.
Yeah.
It was very prominent. And actually, the more you start talking about it, I actually forgot about the barcade aspect about it. I remembered, obviously it's a cyber cafe, it's called that for a reason, but yeah, I mean, it was pretty dope. It was pretty dope. So taking it to number 2, I'm gonna give credit where it's due because this was all chill.
This is my favorite.
And I agreed when he said it, I'm just like, you know what, that's a great call. Number 2, Hangouts for Power Rangers is Detective Stone's office. from Power Rangers Zero.
Bulk and Skull were there all the time, and then even Rito and Goldar had to be there too. Like when they lost their memory, they were like their servants. Do you remember that? They were like Bulk and Skull's servants.
Yeah, they were waiting hand and foot. Yeah.
There were so many great episodes though in Zeo where it would be like definitely like that, like the lady walks into the old office. And
I don't have it right now. I'm like totally done. I'm like I don't have it.
So good. I love Detective Stone's like because it's old school like noir PI office, and he tried so hard to be like an old school noir PI. Like so she walks in a beautiful dress. Like it's very much that office.
She walks in.
You know what I'm talking about?
So Joe, if you would, man, what is our number 1 hangout, which I don't think is going to be a surprise for most people?
Ernie's Juice Bar. For those people that thought I was going to say Ernie's Froyo, you're wrong.
For our new Neo Saban samurai lovers like Joe, it definitely could have been.
I do like the new, I'm not the samurai fan, but I do like the Neo Saban stuff.
Sure. But Ernie's Juice Bar, man, it has
classic.
Longevity, dude. Longevity. It went all the way up until, I want to say, maybe Turbo. Because, Lieutenant Stone took it over as well. So it actually did have staying power from Mighty Morphin to Zeo to Turbo. By the time we got into space, we kind of still had it, but it was redressed. It was called Adele's Surf Spot.
I have a question actually. Now I was actually just thinking about that as you were saying it. Do we get are we led to believe that Adele's Surf Spot was a completely different location than the Juice Bar? Or did she take over the Juice Bar from Lieutenant Stone and make it Adele's Surf Spot?
I feel like it was answered because I remember
I do, but I can't.
I remember the Rangers coming in civilian clothing. It's like the first time they've been back to Earth since being, going off to space. And I remember them walking in kind of like, this place is kind of, I think it's supposed to be its own location.
Interesting.
I think. Remind me, for anybody at home, remind us if it's its own location or if it is actually bought out from Ernie's.
I can't remember it either.
But I do remember them coming in.
I do remember it being referenced also, but I can't remember if they just end up at somewhere new.
Sure.
Or if it's like, this is different. This is a new Adele's thing now.
Right.
Which is great. Adele was awesome, by the way.
Adele was awesome. Adele was the Pink Ranger, honey.
Yeah. But in Ernie's Juice Bar, you got karate tournaments.
Oh, man.
You got gymnastic tournaments.
You had everything, actually.
You had teaching karate classes. You had everything there. Pie eating contests, I feel like.
You had a gym. They had social dances and costume parties. Everything was done at that.
And the Power Rangers never had to pay for a single smoothie. Have you ever noticed? Ernie must have lost so much money because he was like, it's on the house for everybody. Like, dude. What? No wonder why Lieutenant Stone took it over, because he couldn't run a business.
Oh, we basically confirmed that Ernie's Juice Bar went under.
It did.
And got new management.
It got new management. He couldn't sustain that business plan of always giving things away for free.
Well, that's a sad ending to Ernie's.
But he did, dude.
Reign.
I will say this about Ernie's Juice Bar. Do you remember when they would make those sundaes for ball?
Oh, yes.
They looked so
good. Man. Like, I'm disappointed because there might be places out there like that, but... Yeah. I never really found like an Ernie's Juice Bar, you know what I mean?
Same.
I never found a place where I could get my workout in, and there might be a bully or two, but that's okay because it's been a power of friendship and everything, and just milkshakes and turning into the news, and oh man.
I do like the fact though that you just said that like you can get your workout in and then go and get a fat ass sundae.
Yeah, exactly. And if you want to have a food fight, that might go down too because...
And Ernie was always getting hit in the face with pies, just like
Ernie was a freaking victim a lot, man. He did... Man, there's so many memories at the Juice Bar.
Fun fact. Did you know this? And this is speaking about the pilot. A lot of people don't know this, but Ernie actually was supposed to be the humanoid form of Zordon to watch over the Power Rangers.
Wait, what?
Yeah, so when the show originally was conceptualized, Ernie was actually supposed to be the human form of Zordon to keep an eye on the Rangers on Earth form without them knowing.
Whoa, this is me learning something new because
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever heard that.
That's I read that and like like now we're 25 years in, but there's a Power Ranger fact thing that came up.
Like
and that
trivia.
that was one of the things I was like, oh man, I never knew that either.
I never knew that. So man, I'm pretty sure you kind of revealed a lot to the people at home too, because I've not heard that once.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes I'm like, oh, I kind of remember. No, I never heard that one at all.
Yeah, he was supposed to be the human form of Zordon that would watch over the Rangers when they were fighting in space or fighting
Whatever.
and stuff.
Wait, but that's not for the pilot. That's for the actual.
That was for the actual series. He was supposed to be like their mentor on Earth.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Actually, that would have been kind of cool.
It would have been. So that makes more sense to have Ernie being such a prominent character later on going forward.
Yeah, and giving them free smoothies.
Free smoothies,
Because
exactly.
hey, they're our protectors. You gotta take care of our,
Exactly.
our guys.
But let's get into your questions from comments from our two-parter from our show with the Power Rangers Dino Supercharged finale with Yoshi Sudarso. Here's our questions and comments. Here we go. So here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna be talking about the comments from the first part of Yoshi's interview. We're
Correct.
taking those comments right now.
So the end of Extinction, part 1, with Yoshi, and then there's going to be a part 2 to that interview, which will follow.
Yes. Why don't you kick us off with the comments?
Sure. So reading off Matt Logan's comment, he says, "Damn." There's your comment, Matt.
Chaz Hartwayne, I love Yoshi. RL Gaia?
Guy.
I could listen to him for weeks.
Moving on to Dan Lagrono. His comment is, the only thing that bothers me with the final episode was that Ivan and Koda are returning back to their original timeline with the knowledge that they obtained from the future, because it can cause a huge alter. Whoops, read more. Whoops, not push the right button. It could alter the timeline. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. Plus, with the dinosaurs not being extinct, they pretty much erased the whole story of Mighty Morphin and Dino Thunder, because with the dinosaurs not being extinct, none of those Power Rangers series happened, which I feel like that's where a lot of us are leaning towards, as far as this pretty much creates a completely separate timeline, separated from a lot of the other series.
I agree.
So,
Disney era Power Rangers. Most Rangers in the franchise kept their memories from time travel or knowledge of, but this finale would F up the timeline anyway.
moving on to Andrew Suarez's comment. His comment is, time travel logic is what bugged me for the finale, but I did like how the Rangers fought Sledge again, or technically for the first time, LOL. It was cool seeing how Super Charge mode holds up against Sledge, and how the villains were defeated. Thank you for your comment, Andrew.
Yes, and Disney era Power Ranger responded.
One more time.
Even though they should not have access to the super mode since they were enhanced to the present Energems, but they were using the ones from the past against Sledge. I somewhat agree with this, mainly because it would mess up everything. Another good point that I actually thought about was that technically Ivan wouldn't have been there, because
To me, it's a separate timeline, even with that.
yeah, I agree. It's like now we're talking Westworld, 3 different timelines.
Actually, I'll even go Dragon Ball Z, because Trunks went back to the past, and it didn't affect anything, and that was a whole different timeline too. So pick your reference.
Yeah.
So moving on to Khalib Jackson. His comment is, it's ironic how the current Kamen Rider series has 5 writers because of the comment or the reference to Kamen 5.
yeah.
So good call.
Well, the Bleach J16 says they're even getting a 6 one.
The 6th one for a Kamen Rider, true story. Blackwing 2040, shout out to Blackwing 2040. His comment is, so this will be a 2-part video. Yes. I felt the pain when Yoshi was telling the story. That's crazy on what he had to go through. But man, Peter had to keep a really big secret. Agreed. Time travel is a complex thing to understand. So whatever happens with the continuity, I'm okay with it. That's a great attitude.
It's a good answer.
I gotta be honest with you, that's the best attitude any one of us could ever have. So
a great answer.
Thank you, Blackwing 2040.
Jamail Van Westering. Oh, is that done? I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
Sorry.
No, that was good.
Jamail Van Westering, the legendary battle was the end of Goseiger. They mixed that with the ending of Gokaiger.
Sure. Okay. So, comment from Felicity Giles. Her comment is, the finale was a huge disappointment. There was so much writing on it, and it flaked. I didn't hate the episode per se, but the final scene wasn't the best. If the season is a continuity from past seasons like Mighty Morphin and Dino Thunder, then this has completely obliterated them. Wow. Personally, I think there was no ending, and to save myself a lot of headaches at trying to figure it out, I am placing Dino Charge / Dino Supercharge into its own timeline. At the moment, it seems like the only logical explanation, and to be honest with you, that's not the worst way to treat it, so thank you for listening.
Very true. Marco Anaselli. Ugh, post part 2 already.
Be
LOL.
patient.
Now,
Be
part 2's
patient.
coming. I'm glad you liked part 1 enough to really want part 2. So that's been a sentiment that we've heard a lot. So we're really happy about that.
And also, shout out to everyone who's hit me up on Facebook, Instagram, etc., because we've been getting nothing but love as far as the last episode and Yoshi coming by. So thank
Is
you
it
very
fair to
much.
say that our Power Ranger finale was better than the actual Power Ranger finale?
I think it's fair for me not to answer that question. So moving on to another comment from Disney era Power Rangers again. Oh wait, I skipped one. I'm sorry. So a comment from Craig Anderson. I apologize.
I only get the Disney era Power Ranger ones.
Just for you. Craig's comment is, just finished watching Kyoryuger recently, and I recognized a lot of the footage Chip used, and I didn't realize some of the episodes had the same plots. That's true. However, in my opinion, Kyoryuger has nothing on Dino Charge because Kyoryuger is a Red Ranger season, while Dino Charge focuses on everyone except Kendall, which was kind of a bummer. Okay,
That's true.
I see what you're saying.
It's acceptable.
I did call Kyoryuger definitely a Daigo season, so it was like the Tommy season for Sentai. Moving on to your favorite.
Oh, yeah. Disney era Power Rangers. In my opinion, Samurai Forever was the best Neil Saban finale.
Oh, that was the perfect comment for you to read.
Ooh,
That was the
I'm going to have to disagree with you.
Perfect comment for Joe.
Personally, I think the best Neo Saban finale was Legendary Battle, and I know that's crazy to say that out loud.
No, actually,
but
it's not. I agree with you.
Truth
actually.
is,
Now,
like I said, if you would have never have known that episode was going to happen, I think that if it would have just been out of the blue, like, hey, this is the finale, your jaw would have dropped.
So if we didn't have the internet, and if we didn't have
JDF
marketing it to death, and if everyone knew how to keep a secret, then yes, if that was literally what we didn't know,
yeah,
it would have
was
been
the
dope.
best.
I will say this, and not to get too off topic, what hurt me is because they did film original footage for it. I just wanted to see at least a little bit of original footage of Tommy fighting or of the legendary Rangers, and just a little bit more of Robo Knight because you were dead. Robo Knight, you were dead. Why were you there? And the only the only line I got was, "Hey, good to see you, old friend." Yeah, why? Didn't make sense to me.
And it doesn't make sense to me that a lot of those guys are there, but not the Phantom Ranger.
There you go. So going on to Scott Summers' comments, he says, "I really like the finale. I was really sad to see Ivan and Koda return their timelines. I thought maybe there would have been a twist where the two thanked Keeper but turned down the offer to stay with the other Rangers. Overall great, but why no Kendall backstory, which is a popular opinion. Honestly, how she met Keeper is really important. Everything that we got, but nothing. Yoshi's explanation for Talon Ranger makes a lot of sense. It actually made a lot of sense to us too. It's like, duh, Talon, bird. Like,
Yeah. Once you hear somebody else say it, it's like,
It's more like, why did we hype it up so much? And a lot of us did it to ourselves. We hyped it up because of what we already knew. Anyways, he's very happy for Yoshi's brother. Looking forward to Ninja Steel. Dino Charge was great, and the cast will be missed.
Ryan DLR, the Rangers couldn't use the powers of the Energems to go back in time before because Keeper mentioned that they had to destroy the Dark Energem to unlock the Energem's full power.
Yeah, we saw how great that worked out. It doomed us all.
Yeah, it did. It did.
Going into A Nut Draws.
What?
Yeah, it could be. I'm going to go clean with that. A Nut Draws says, cool info. There was never going to be a Death User. Talon Ranger, shut up. It was just an alternate name for Silver Ranger / Xenowing. Moving on.
He has the best YouTube name ever.
A Nut Draws.
Lance Mueller, good buddy from More Phenomenal. Yoshi's right, bro. You did this to yourself. You're the one who pushed himself hard to get these opportunities. Oh, he's talking about
basically.
I was like, wait, what?
I'll speak on it. I mean, basically, he's referring to. Joe had said, like, hey, it's thanks to Yoshi and thanks to the Power Rangers as far as him and his opportunities. But the fact of the matter is, Joe is one of the hardest working guys I know. He hits the ground running.
Oh, I appreciate that.
I mean,
but
it is what
realistically, it's thanks to the Power Rangers, thanks to DJ and the rest of everybody at Hashtag. Because without everybody else, truthfully, I'd just been a guy. Actually, I wouldn't even be probably doing any of this stuff. So,
yeah, let me follow that up by saying Joe will never just be a guy. So honestly, tip of the hat to you,
thanks, man.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Respect it. So,
and thanks, Lance, for the comment.
And absolutely thanks to Lance. Shout out to Lance. So going to Side Dish. I don't know. I think that's a pretty great name. Looking forward to part 2. Loving these discussions you guys are having. These stories are a great treat too. I felt my heart hurting even with the prank, even though I know at the end it just goes to show you how good the story is to emotionally affect me. He's talking about the Yoshi talking about his brother and keeping a secret. And we're talking about D&D. Have you guys watched Natural 20? It's a comedy web series about a quirky bunch of people playing with D&D with ridiculous results. And you can watch all 15 episodes, each under 10 minutes, right here on YouTube.
That sounds amazing, and I'm gonna check that out because I'm trying to get into D&D.
You're gonna have to explain it to me because I don't know.
Robin Chan, on the Power Rangers news when they mentioned JDF's mother, it says Jason David Frank's mother, I really feel sorry that I couldn't be there to give him my condolences one-on-one. And he's one of my idols. I really looked up to him in the Power Rangers realm. And I'm really psyched to see how the new Power Rangers stuff for real. On their review, the comment, my opinion, the season finale, it's all true, and I strongly agree with them completely. Seriously. Took the words right out of my mouth. And the Yoshi Sudarsa interview, man, I was really feeling it. Awesome stuff there, dude, you rock. And I'm sure it meant dudes, you rock. And thank you very much, Robin Chan, for your comments.
So, Daniel Diaz, I think that's one of your fans, actually.
Arf, yeah.
Well, can someone tell me what was the common writer reference in this episode was? I forget the exact line.
To the scrapyards, they're going to send him to the scrapyards of Common 5.
Common 5. So it was a very quick line, but that was essentially what it was. And you kind of had to do a double take.
I actually did do a double take.
Hiruzi
boy.
Hiruzi Japan boy.
Jose Japan boy. He actually just started following me on Instagram.
Yeah, me too.
Oh, yeah? He's a cool dude.
Yes.
Before the finale aired, I thought to myself, what if the episode was 1 hour long and it was a surprise? Anyway, time travel is an easy way out, but for this episode, it was okay. To make this episode better, maybe they could have shown Ivan, Koda, Zenowing, and Heckle going back to their own timelines to see what happens when they get back. Boom Studios comic book.
Why? But no, I 110% agreed. I felt like that was the smartest wormhole in like history where everybody just jumped in and like everybody in the pool and then everything fixed.
I know, would it be cool?
Everything fixed.
Wouldn't it be cool if they really messed up and Koda ends up in Ivan's era and Ivan ends up in Koda's era?
Oh
and,
my goodness.
A different spin-off? That would have been kind of funny though.
I would have at least, you know what would have worked for me, dude? Even just seeing like a postcard montage at the end where you see like Koda with his, or like a hieroglyphics
that would
with
have been
Koda,
a great idea.
You know what I mean? Or like a new picture of Xandar with like his wife and little lineage going up to Zach or whatever, whatever the case is. Just something.
That would have been a pretty cool idea.
Just something, because you said in the last episode, which is, it probably should have been like a 3-parter. It was a lot ushered in at the end.
It'd have been cool if Wes and Jen came out like from out of nowhere and said, "You guys messed up the time stream."
Or the Flash.
Yeah.
Hey, not my fault this time.
That would have been hilarious. Jen's like, these kids always messing things up. Anyways.
We're going up to Damn Quilty. Shout out to Damn Quilty. This was amazing. I really liked the finale and the whole series overall with its ups and downs. The idea of the chip era is cool. Apart from that, I expected that much about Death Ranger, Talon Ranger. The suit was from the movie, so them not having the rights is understandable. I have my theories for the possible multiverse and other points you mentioned, which if it's all right, I would like to send to you guys.
Yes!
It's always more than all right, man. We love it when you guys send us stuff. So please, please, please send.
We should do a bonus episode one of these days on Craig Anderson's script that he sent us.
Yeah.
We'll do that.
Yeah, for sure. What?
To be honest, this is from Edward Sanchez, by the way. To be honest, I enjoyed watching the finale. My favorite part was the Rangers time traveling and the Rangers saying goodbye to Ivan and Koda. That was actually, I just told DJ, like, we stopped the camera for a second. My favorite scene in that whole show is when, do it. You acted it out. It was great.
Basically, Sledge was about to Magna Beam, and Tyler's just like, wait, let me guess, Magna Beam, Magna! Like,
I love
record
that
skip. He's like, wait, how did you? Okay, Magna Beam!
But you know why I love that scene, though, too, is because I feel like, yes, Sledge was definitely, like, the villain of, like, he reminded me so much of Zed, but, like, in these moments, it kind of humanizes him, but also when he's like, I went to Japan, and nobody likes Japan, and he's, like, just doing karaoke. I love Sledge. I think he's great.
No, Sledge was, to me, he stole the show when he was there.
I know.
Because he was, like, one of the few, professional here with his phone on. He was, like, funny.
Communicator.
Yeah, definitely got to save the world in a second. When he was funny, but he was also a good bad guy.
Yeah.
Like, he was a good bad guy. He did have the dynamics with his own Poisandra / Rita Repulsa kind of. But he was actually a good husband, too. Like,
He's a great husband.
Like, for the most part, he did postpone the wedding, but he did commit. He did commit. He liked it, so he put a ring on it.
Exactly.
He liked it.
So he put a ring on it.
So he did. So also, hashtag Edward Sanchez approved.
Yeah, forgot to say that.
So last but not least, from Domel. I love this video. Thanks, Domel.
He did send a link to his YouTube page, so go check that out. It's on our links below.
There you
go. But that's going to do it for the Retro Ranger wrap-up.
I got to get used to saying that. So far, you've said it this whole episode, and I'm like, Retro Ranger wrap-up.
Yeah.
Why? No, it makes sense, but damn it.
Next week, we are going to be airing... next week, actually, we got the Christmas episode of Power Rangers Dino Supercharge. So we're going to be revisiting... We didn't have a long break from them. We were going to be revisiting them. And then back to business as normal.
But this will be our final farewell as far as episodes released for Dino Charge.
Next week, yes.
Correct.
Once that week comes out, yes, that will be the final Power Rangers Dino Supercharge show. Unless we get there in the Retro Ranger wrap-up.
Like 20 years
20 years from now. So, and then we'll probably get like Claire, and then we'll get more Rangers on here.
Our kids will probably be doing it at that point.
It's true. It's probably true.
20 years from now?
20 years from now.
Oh, jeez.
It'll be like our
kids.
Like our kids, yeah. It's pretty crazy.
I would think. Well, anyways, that's going to do it for us for our Retro Ranger wrap-up. Hey, I did it.
You did. You got it right.
Yeah, I did it.
Thanks for watching. Hit that subscribe button to stay up to date with everything trending in geek pop culture.